All right, everybody, we're doing it. It is a UV of about 100 million out right now. I don't even know what UV means, but it is episode 1 of Big Al's Book Club. Very excited. I mean, this week we got a beautiful novel, Leaving the Atocha Station by Ben Lerner. But before we get going, I hope everybody had enough time to read the novel. I know I announced what we would be reading about, say 2 weeks ago, so about 2 regular episodes have passed since then. And the book is about, let's say, 175 pages. I have a lot more time than most because during the day I mostly am just trying to break the land speed record for most cum jokes written in one setting. I'm getting up to 5 a second. It's getting pretty impressive, but what I hope we can do is all be kind of done with the book by the time we're working on to a new episode. And going forward, what I would love is for all of us to pick a book kind of together. I'd like to see suggestions after this episode. This episode will be posted on Spotify, on YouTube, and also on this new Reddit community that I'm creating called r-Big Al Flynn. I'm not really a big Reddit guy, but I feel like it's a place that would be perfect for our book club, a place where we can week by week kind of discuss where we are, discuss what chapters we're at, how we're feeling about the book, if we need to get it out of here because we don't like it that much, whatever we're really doing. So that's, I think, going to be the main place where we kind of keep track of everything, where I keep track of everything. This is my first time running a book club. So another thing, if anybody has been in book clubs or has ran one themselves and wants to give me any sort of advice or help me with this, I would greatly appreciate it. It's an unpaid position, of course. However, I'll get you free tickets to shows whenever I'm in your city. So, or if you just live in LA and you want to help me out with it, that would also work too. But yeah, I'm just really excited about this, guys. I think this is going to be a very, very cool venture that we can do every 2 weeks or so, week and a half, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and we can kind of keep up with each other and talk about the things that we're reading, whether it be fiction, nonfiction, political, non-political, or just whatever we're really doing. I mean, it's the summertime, so I know a lot of you want to chill out on the beach with some smut. Chill out on the beach with something that's going to not make you think, something about people getting fingered, sandpaper finish, no lube. You know what I'm talking about. So when it comes down to that, I'm just pumped, and there goes my pen. But I wrote down a lot of things about Leaving the Atocha Station, Ben Lerner's novel about a young poet on a fellowship scholarship living in Madrid for a good year. This novel was something that I'd heard about. My friend, shout out to the boy. Oh man, I'm forgetting his name right now. But he's my buddy, and he's a teacher right now in New York City. And one of my good buddies I started stand-up with. I guess he's a friend. I don't know. I can't believe I'm forgetting the name. This is semantics, but anyway, this was a book about a guy. I would say, if I could sum it up in one sentence, what this book was, it would be Catcher in the Rye with more humor, less sympathy. It was Holden Caulfield doing a semester abroad. That's the best way I can describe it. This guy is consistently throughout the novel second-guessing and third-guessing himself on every decision that he makes as a quote-unquote poet. He's living a life as sort of this fraudulent guy. He should be working. He should be working on poetry. He has an entire assignment, and he's being funded by a college to go over and do poetry and research poetry that came about during the Spanish Civil War. He does none of that. His daily routine is pretty much just wake up, smoke hash, drink coffee, sit around, stare at the wall, go to the Prado, and it just day after day after day does the same thing, thinking to himself yeah, I'm doing it. I'm an American doing my thing. And what's really interesting about it is the relationships that I think he develops throughout this book, where the consistent through line throughout the novel is how he doesn't really feel like he has a grasp on the Spanish language. He's trying to speak it as well as he can, but he finds that as a poet, it's better to speak in more high platitudes, saying things that seem artsy, seem deeper than they are, but that's just because he can't actually explain what he's talking about in Spanish. So to give you an example, this is very early on. He's on a vacation, like little mini trip with this girl that he's seeing in Spain. And she asks him a question. She goes, "How did you choose Spain over, for example, Chile?" Adam replies, "So much has been written about Allende." I said, although I had only the vaguest sense of who Allende was. She responds, "What makes the poem an effective form for historical investigation?" I inferred from the words of hers I understood. I was surprised to find myself inclined to defend a project I'd never clearly delineated, let alone ever planned to complete, as opposed to conceding its total vacuity. The language of poetry is the exact opposite of the language of mass media, I said, meaninglessly. So this guy kind of just talks in empty platitudes, sort of creating this idea of being a creative or being an artist in this brand new country that he's inhabiting. It's very interesting because as somebody that also studied abroad in Madrid, I would live there for about 4 months. I mean, don't get me wrong, like I wasn't pretending to be anything other than like an actual Spaniard. I mean, I would try and blend in with clothes, but like my language was, I would go into a barbershop in Madrid and I would just go, "Que recomiende se para mi paleo?" And I think that's an Italian accent. But that's what I would say, and they would just give me a huge pompadour. And then I would walk around Madrid with a white denim jacket that said Thrasher on the back, black skinny jeans, and boots, and I felt like the coolest fucking guy in the world. So I get, like, this main character, this guy Adam, I get his main sense of, like, not wanting people to see that he's just the American tourist and the phony. However, he is in this country for a specific purpose, to investigate and to do research about poetry written during the Spanish Civil War. So I find that extremely interesting. I mean, and also you have to understand he doesn't fully understand the language. So he's just kind of going off of whatever context clues he can glean from from what people are saying to him. It's really fascinating. One other aspect of the novel that I really enjoyed was the relationships that he has with the Spanish creatives that he meets. So people that run galleries, for example, this guy named Arturo, his sister Teresa. These are all people that they love the arts. They're highly into artistic command. They're highly into like poetry and paintings and all of this. And if you've lived in Spain like I did, like you understand the Spanish sort of attitude. They can be very like distant and very like, yeah, whatever. Like they're not as, I think, I don't want to say like emotional is the word as Americans, but they can be very like aloof. They can be very aloof, like they take the good with the bad. In a lot of the writing that we see here, in a lot of the book, I noticed that it seems as though the Spanish people that he interacts with are very much like, yeah, I mean, I could take or leave this guy. I don't, like, it's cool to have him around. I like him, and like they go out of their way to like placate him and all of his like delirious fantasies. However, it's just funny to watch them be like, because like towards the end when he's like trying to figure out whether he wants to stay or leave. I wrote this down, like, it doesn't seem like anybody really cares. And his fraudulence is most deeply recognized by him. And it seems as though, like, throughout the novel, he's constantly, like, ruminating on whether they can tell that he's a fraud. But the main characters that are living in Spain, they don't seem to really even care. Either they do or they don't know. And that's never revealed throughout the novel, which I really do appreciate. To give you a little bit more backstory, so essentially he's dating one girl, but like this novel is a lot of heavy literature words, a lot of big vocab words, which at times did trip me up, I'll be honest. I did have to look up a couple of them on the dictionary app. So that it started a little bit slow, but I think the more he starts to like realize like, oh man, they're gonna find me out. They're gonna find me out. Like the self-absorbedness and the insecurity kind of kept bringing me back in. And there were a couple moments that I really like laughed at trying to like just really out loud. I was laughing like reading this book at how ridiculous some of the shit he was doing was. Let's see if I can pull up an example. Oh, dude, another huge part of it. All right, I'm gonna cut all this. But another huge part of it is he keeps lying to like make his mystique seem cooler than it is. When one part of the book he makes up this big lie that his mother's dead and doesn't want to talk about his parents and his family, and then he makes up another lie saying that like she's not dead but she has cancer and I don't want to say anything because my dad's a fascist. And he talks about it, he goes like, no, that's not true at all. They're perfectly fine living in Kansas. And I'm not like but it also like he tells this to his Spanish friends and they don't care whatsoever. Does this make sense, by the way? Like, can you guys like comment if so far this is like okay? If I'm like summing up this book very well, if you did read it, I hope I'm giving like good context clues. But the insecurity of this guy is so deep that it's actually like shocking. Like that's why I found myself laughing at certain points when he would just like make shit up or just act like an absolute baby in front of these girls that he wants to like him. Like, and he's having all these realizations about his shallow character, yet as the reader, I felt like I was stuck waiting for him to do one noble thing, waiting for him to have like one actual realization of like, oh, like I'm being a dickhead. But throughout the entire novel, it gets worse and worse. Like, for example, he was dating this girl named Isabel throughout the novel, and he doesn't really treat her that well. Not mean, but it's very like, he's like, yeah, I'm a poet, and I don't know if I'm staying or going. We'll find out. And then when she tells him, like, oh, I'm just letting you know, like, I have another guy that I'm, like, waiting for him to get back from Barcelona so then we can be together again. I've just been fucking you on the side. He spirals. And then goes and decides, oh yeah, well I'll show her. Puts a suit on, takes her out to one of the fanciest restaurants in Madrid, and spends all this money on his parents' credit card. Place at the Four Seasons, like a hotel at the Four Seasons, just to like show off and just to show her, like, yeah, I didn't care either. It didn't matter to me. I'm just an American here. I'm just an American here. Okay. You're just a fun part of my journey, part of my trip. And it's just like you're watching this guy just evolve. It's like genuinely funny. If it doesn't make you uncomfortable reading this book a little bit, it makes you laugh at some of the stuff he does. Here we go. Let's see if I can. All right, here we go. It became increasingly clear to me that I would have to confess my slander to my parents at some point in order not to be consumed by it, saying that he lied about like his parents dying. My distress. Oh, here we go. It became increasingly, which added to my dread and my guilt. All right, I'm not. I mean, this guy clearly has like is the most insecure human of all time. Here's another thing that I really enjoyed about this main character. The way Adam reverts to anger and spite at people's presumed slights of him make me laugh pretty hard. Especially when it comes to people that he perceives like are having sex with the girls that he wants to fuck. It's like a very insecure guy move. I mean, we all know guys like that are just like, dude, what the fuck? And he does that all the fucking time. Mostly, yeah. It's like always like Teresa or the fellowship leader, Maria Jose, who's like, the fellowship leader is one of the funniest parts because she keeps on asking Adam like, hey man, when are you going to show me any of your research, which he hasn't been working on the entire time. And then every time she asks, he just thinks like, she knows I'm not doing any of this shit. Why does she have to embarrass me? And he's never stepping up. He's always just cursing the situation he's in as if it's no fault of his own. And it makes you like cringe but like laugh at how insecure this guy is. I know I keep hammering that. And again, this is going to be spoilers podcast, so I'm going to tell you what happens. So after he's like, kind of being a dirtbag, trying to like, have sex like with these couple girls that don't care about him, there's a terrorist attack in Madrid. Okay, there is a bombing in a subway station, the Atocha station. Why it's called Leaving the Atocha Station. This happens a little bit later on in the novel, and he is like kind of shocked. He's like, wow, I'm a part of history right now. While Teresa and Arturo and his friends go out to protest, though, he kind of just becomes a baby and then decides, like, what if people think I died in this terrorist attack? So he stops responding to any of the people that have been in correspondence with him. It just kind of, like, wants people to think, like, oh, what happened to Adam? What happened to Adam? Like, total crazy dickhead. This is Holden Caulfield type shit this guy is channeling. That's the only, like, character I can really... It's like giving Jerry from Rick and Morty a little bit. A little bit more... Yeah, like, kind of, sort of, but... I don't know. It made me laugh real hard. Like, he doesn't even go out to protest. He just hangs out at Teresa's apartment and lets her go out and protest, waiting for her to come back so she can make him food and give him a little kiss here and there. Not even fuck. He doesn't even end up sleeping with any of these people. Oh, wait, he ends up sleeping with one of them. But, God, it just makes me glad I'm a comedian and not a poet. Makes me glad I'm a clown. Because at least as a clown, I can just... I have no shame. And I also... Well, it's not that I don't have any shame. It's just that I'm not afraid to put myself out there a little bit. I hope there's plenty of comedians that are just as insecure as this guy, but this is crazy. But yeah, towards the end of the novel, he finally gets roped into being a part of this panel that talks about literature now. And he is petrified because he hasn't done anything. He also keeps thinking to himself, I can't master the language. I don't know what they want me to talk about. And then he actually gets up on the panel. He says a couple things, and he could feel himself actually doing well. I mean, he has a couple stutters here and there where he doesn't actually figure, they ask him a couple things, but he uses his silence. And it became one of those moments where you realize at the end of the novel, you go, okay, do these people not care? Or has his living in his own head made the reader feel as though they don't care? And maybe his perspective on it being an American living in Spain, he didn't fully grasp that the entire time that he's living there, he's actually becoming a poet, and he's becoming part of the Spanish culture. Because throughout the novel, he's also giving poems that he's writing to Teresa to translate and then do a gallery reading. So it kind of turned into a story of fake it till you make it a little bit. So he's like living as an artist and a poet, more or less. And it felt like, even like as that final passage of the panel made my skin crawl a little bit, because I'm like, don't blow it. And he didn't blow it. It's just the way he's like, I'll give you an example. So on page 50, I believe. Oh no, I already said that one. This is bad. This is bad, pod. I'm sorry. But yeah, he just the people are actually pretty stoked on him the entire time. I would do more reading. I guess I just didn't have it all there, but I guess this book is sort of what I kind of gleaned from it was if you put too much on like your own self-importance or your own sense of self-importance, you're kind of like missing all the world that's happening around you. When you're able to take a step back and kind of go, hey, it's not all about me. Maybe you can enjoy it a little bit more. I guess as a poet, Adam, the main character, feels as though every little thing, especially like the little white noise moments in life, is where you can find that inspiration and art to write. However, it didn't seem as though he enjoyed his time in Spain until maybe it was too late, until the fellowship was over. We did in the end get a happy ending, though, which is very nice, and he was finally going to do his readings in the gallery that Arturo does towards the end. And he also had, a little bit, like, he had like a finally transformation. Like he came towards and he's like, no, I'm a Spanish poet. Like I'm a poet, American poet living in Spain, and this is actually who I am. I'm not a fraud. I am this guy. So I hope this was a good way of summing it up. I don't think it was, but I really hope you guys enjoyed the novel. I give it, I'm not gonna grade the novel. I don't think I'm gonna be grading novels. I'm just going to say that I would definitely read it again. I liked it. It was a little bit of a slow start at first, but I think that's with a couple novels. There's a couple novelists, a couple authors that I think really bang, you get you right into the gates, but not this guy. I think Ben Lerner is also a poet himself, so I think a lot of the language is meant to be very high level and meant to, be like, oh, wow, yeah, all right, vacuity, very nice. So, leaving the Atocha station, big fan of it. That is going to be our book club sum up. Guys, let's leave comments below on any book recommendations we can go for. I'm thinking we go. I'm thinking we go nonfiction next time. I would love to hear what you guys think. I can make a trip to the bookstore, but I will be posting what our next book club book will be on the Instagram, but most importantly, I will be posting updates on where I am in the book on Reddit. Reddit r-Big Al Flynn is where I'm going to be posting where the next book will be, where I'm going to be posting all the updates, and where I'm going to be posting this episode for us all to talk about the book itself and where we can kind of discuss it in deeper length. So before I go, I want to say I really appreciate you guys signing up for the book club. It's free. We're just going to have a good time and hopefully learn a little bit this summer. If you live in San Francisco, Sacramento, Charleston, San Diego, I will be coming to your city soon. Chicago, that's on sale now. And we just put tickets on sale for the UK and Ireland. Dublin in October. We're going to Dublin October 29th. We're going to be in London October 26th, Manchester October 27th, and Edinburgh October 29th. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Guys, I love you dearly. And let me know what book we should read next. Big Al's Book Club, Episode 1. Leaving the Atocha Station. Would read again. Big fan.